What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Fan Awakens. My name's Eli, and I'm here to talk about the Temura Morrison news. What's going on with The Mandalorian Season 3? Why wasn't he in it? I'm going to kind of dig into all of that. I did some research, I did some digging, and again, if you guys want to see more content like this, more news, more movie reviews, all that stuff, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It all means a lot to me. I see it all. I appreciate it. And at the end, I'll have a question for y'all. But to get into it, recently Temura Morrison was at a Comic-Con, specifically it was the Supernova Comic-Con and Gaming Convention, and he did a Q&A, which led to him releasing some comments that have been going all over the internet. It's been passed around everywhere, and I think that I could hopefully add some clarity to it, and sort of give my own theories along with what happened. Basically, he was asked about Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian Season 3, and he went on to say that he was disappointed that he wasn't called for the Mandalorian Season 3. Apparently, he was told he would be in it. He waited by his phone diligently, never got a call. Also, he expressed, pain and sorrow basically over not getting to dominate his own show. The Mandalorian came into his show with this cool, badass new black lightsaber and kicked ass, basically, is what he said. And I don't think that's wrong. I think he's, kind of spot on there. I enjoyed those episodes more than the Boba episodes, which may be another issue he has, understandably. But I think there's a lot that goes into this. Now, I think there's a few rumors that I'm going to touch on. Massive grain of salt here. We don't know if any of them are true, but I'm still going to go through them just to be thorough. So, I think there's a few ways to look at this. Now, there are rumors that because of Pedro Pascal's lack of availability with other projects, they kind of shuffled to the Book of Boba Fett to fill in that time. And as he got free, they kind of put him in at the end of the season, which kind of checks out for me. Who knows if that's the truth or not. Another rumor is that Jon Favreau almost left The Mandalorian as a whole and the projects altogether because he was being strong-armed into reuniting Din and Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett, which he didn't want to do. Now, who knows if any of this is true? I wasn't there. I don't think whoever is watching was there. Who knows? But it kind of makes sense to me, Dave and John, they spent 2 full seasons of The Mandalorian telling this story about Din and Grogu and why they needed to separate. Din getting to the point where he seemed to love Grogu and then having to give him up to Luke. It was a lot, We built up to that over 2 seasons, and then to have them subsequently bring them back together in the Book of Boba Fett seemed a bit odd. It seemed a bit rushed, and it just didn't seem natural. I think that Jon Favreau is a great storyteller. I think Dave Filoni's a great storyteller, and it just seemed off. It seemed like one of those studio notes kind of moments, And I think things like that happen all the time. We just don't always hear about it. Just like this. It's all rumors. But some of those things make sense. Now, beyond that, I kind of always viewed the Book of Boba Fett as The Mandalorian Season 3. And I think that helped with my enjoyment of it. I know they never told us to view it that way. But when they called it the Book of Boba Fett and the way that The Mandalorian comes out as chapters instead of episodes, I just saw it as, at the most, I saw it as like DLC to a video game, right? You play a full game, it's great, but then a few months after it's over, they say, hey, here's some DLC to finish the story. Maybe it fleshes out a side character, maybe it gives you a pocket of information that leads to the next game, and that's kind of how I viewed Book of Boba Fett. You don't absolutely have to watch it to watch Mandalorian Season 3, but if you don't, you're probably going to want to watch like a YouTube 10-minute refresher on what you missed. If you went from 2 to 3 and saw Grogu's back, you'd probably be confused, and the Mandalorian, or Din Djarin, he really only gave a throwaway line. Things happened, things changed, and he's back. Now, with that being said, what does all this mean, and why does this have anything to do with Temura Morrison not returning as Boba Fett in Mandalorian Season 3? Now, I'm about to go on another tangent, but it's all going to come full circle. So, back in February, Jon Favreau told a French outlet, BFM TV, that he was done writing the scripts for Mandalorian Season 4. That was before Season 3 released. Now, that's not the most outlandish idea. especially considering Mandalorian typically have shorter episodes and shorter seasons. So, assuming that Jon Favreau knows where these characters are going and where they're ending up, I don't think it's that crazy to think that he found the time to write these episodes out. Now, the thing with that, though, is when Dave Filoni's film was announced at Star Wars Celebration in London, we now know that all these shows in this era are leading to that film. So you look at The Mandalorian, you look at Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew now, Book of Boba Fett, assumedly, would be leading all to that point. Now, there's a show we left out, and that is Rangers of the New Republic. So that show was supposed to feature Carson Teva, Cara Dune, and different Rangers. You know, I'm sure Dave Filoni was going to pop up in there, but it seems like they had this entire show focused on these Rangers of the New Republic that was also going to lead into that film. I feel like that's not something you would probably just cut out. With where Din Djarin left off in the end of Mandalorian Season 3, if you haven't seen the show, spoilers, I'm sorry if you're watching this video, I assume you've seen it, but Din and Grogu ended up essentially back being bounty hunters under the retainer of the New Republic, and it feels like they probably retooled those scripts they had, took out Cara Dune, replaced her storyline with Din Djarin and Din Grogu, and they probably tweaked it here and there, retooled it, and said, hey, we still get to tell that story we needed to tell, we get to further the Mandalorian storyline, and it makes a lot of sense. So the reason I brought all of that up is to simply say that I think a lot of things are moving around. I think that the storyline is a bit fluid right now. I think with Cara Dune having to be written out, I think that with whatever's going on with Pedro Pascal's availability, if that is an issue, I think that Temura probably got the short end of the stick here. Now, you could say that. You could look at it optimistically and say he actually got quite a bit, saying, you know, he played Jango Fett in a one-movie role, and he's now, you know, quite a bit more than that. I know he played the clones. So his likeness and all is used for the clones, which is great. I love Temura Morrison. I think he's passionate. He loves the characters he plays, and he's the kind of person you want in Star Wars. He cares, and I think that goes a long way. With Boba Fett, I hope we see him again. I think that this sort of story has caught enough traction to where if they didn't already have plans, now they're probably in like, we got to make this right mode, which is okay with me. I hope they do make it right. This show has, you know, The Mandalorian has already served as a second chance for people. I think when you look at Ahmed Best, he got a huge redemption. He had a lot more ground to cover than Temura does at here. I think everybody loves Temura. So bringing him back would probably be a really cool moment, and hopefully he has something substantial to do. I almost think it would be ironic, kind of fun, if they gave Boba like his own episode in The Mandalorian Season 4 and kind of played with that whole idea of what happened with his show. But we'll see. Basically, I just think that there's a lot going on, and hopefully, since they have this movie coming out, they have a plan, it seems. I think we're in a good place still. I think that Temura hopefully will get another shot, but I want to know what you guys think. When do you think we'll see him back, if at all? I had a game we played basically asking what people expected with Season 3's finale, and I fully assumed that Boba Fett and probably Fennec Shand was coming back. I even thought that, I thought a lot of people were going to show up, and they didn't, and that's okay. I wish they would have called Temura, if that's true, if what he's saying is true. I wish we would have gotten a call, hey, unfortunately, you're not going to end up being in the season. But I think there's still time to bring him back. So that's kind of my thoughts on the situation. I hope that he comes back. So again, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. If you want more, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell your friends, give us a share. Either way, I appreciate every single moment you guys spend with the channel. And if anyone who went to Celebration would like to share their experience, I would love to have you on the podcast. I have a podcast called Celebration Cantina. I think this year it would mean even more because I didn't get to attend in London, so I'd love to hear the stories. I really haven't heard much from people who went yet. So if you went to Celebration and you would like to be on the channel, reach out to me here in the comments or on my Instagram or really anywhere we're on social media. Reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you guys about your celebration experiences. So, with that in mind, again, may the Force be with you always, and I will see you next time on The Fan Awakens.